What's up, everybody? I'm back in my favorite place, the front yard. So what I'm gonna do today is I got this diff cover skid plate that I'm gonna put on the Jeep. Now let me throw this out there up front. When I do my reviews, installs, or whatever, I don't throw this out there to tell everybody to go do what I do. You don't have to go buy it. You don't have to do the same install. I just do these videos to inform y'all, you know what I mean? Just to give y'all other options as to different things you can do. Because, you know, where I'm from, we live so far in the woods that we didn't have the option of running to the closest auto parts store or closest shop to get stuff worked on. We're so far that you had to do it yourself, you know what I mean? So that's what we did. We had a stick welder, some tools, and jack and jack stands. That's all you got. Make it happen. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. If you watch any of my videos, you know anything about my Jeep, most of everything I do on this thing, I did it myself. So I had to get that out there first. Now, as we're putting this diff cover on my diff, I know there are other options. I can get a bigger diff cover from like ARB or Ox when you get their lockers and stuff like that. You know, down the road, when I put some lockers on this, I'm gonna get some Ox lockers, I get the diff cover that comes with the kit, right? Well, for right now, I need something on my diff. Now, here's why the diff cover is such a concern for me in the rear. In the rear, yeah, that came out wrong. But anyway, because if I put a diff cover on these diffs, right? Put a thicker, stronger diff cover. When I'm going forward, that diff cover on the front will help because it'll take the abuse that the rocks will beat up on it. The diff cover on the back, it'll help too if I'm going in reverse. But what if I'm going forward? So to protect the front part of the diff, to me personally, not everybody else's option, I wanted to put a diff skid plate on. Now I bought two of these things because I got one for the front, but the front's not really my concern because like I said, I can always get front diff cover for the front, take care of that, no problem. But it's the front part of the rear diff that's my concern, and this is just my way of fixing it. Now there's one disadvantage to having skid plates on your diff covers, your shock mounts, and your control arms, which is clearance. You will lose clearance. So I'm probably gonna lose about maybe an inch or so of clearance. But you know what I say to that? Pick a line. Find your spot. And if I do happen to drag it, then so what? I got that cover on there. So this is what we doing. So let's get into this thing and see what we're working on. Now the diff skid plate that I went with are the Rancho. And they make one for the front, one for the back. These are the 6.2, where's the thing at? 6.2 117, which is the rear. Like I said, I'm worried more about the rear than the front. And the 6.2 116 is the front. Look at that. Comes in a pretty red. I can like that. And then there you see it has the it's angled there and angled there, so this part goes on the front of the diff, so when you go up on something, when you climb on an obstacle, rock or whatever, it pretty much slides under that and goes under that. Of course, if you back up, it'll go over that. But as you can see, these are where the bolts for the diff is. For the bolts it uses. And put this thing on. I imagine it probably shouldn't take about 45 minutes. So let's get going. All right, so what's up, everybody? I'm back. All right now. So some changes had to be made. I'm still putting this skid plate on the rear diff, but I had to make a few changes because I didn't feel comfortable with something, and I had to go to something better. So I made a few changes, and I'm gonna show you what I did. So as you know, I had the Rancho front diff skid and the rear diff skid, but I sent them back. And one of the reasons I sent them back is because the way the one that I had from Rancho mounted up, I just wasn't comfortable with it. And so I went with another one, which is the Metalcloak one. And it mounts up a little bit different, which is why I went with it, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Now, here's the two things that made the difference for me as to why I sent those back and went with the Metalcloak one instead. the way that this mounts up. It bolts up to the front of the disc the same way the Rancho one does, with the collar, which is this, goes across, it's notched out to fit the front of the diff, and that's how it sits, right? Too easy. The Rancho one was pretty much the same thing. It just wasn't as sturdy as this. It actually had a U-bolt type setup that went over the front instead of this welded, well, not welded, but this metal piece. So this one is a little more sturdy in my mind. So if you look at this, it has those U-bolts, which are right there, and those U-bolts go in here. And I'm gonna show you. And where this mounts is, it pretty much mounts and bolts to the rear axle. That's where the curve, the groove is right there. That goes over the axle, put the U-bolts in, and it mounts to the axle. Now the Rancho ones, it had a circular plate cut in the back, and it mounted to the bolts in your rear diff. So you had to take out 2 bolts over here and 2 bolts over there out of your diff cover, mount it to the diff cover with the same 2 bolts, torque them back down to like 20, 30 or whatever I had to look it up on a sheet. The torque is, and that's what made me nervous. First of all, one of the places that you can get your diff caught up is on that little lip that's around where your diff bolts in, where your bolts go in. That made me nervous, and I was like, And the reason being is because if this thing bolts to that lip or to your diff cover by the bolts, what happens if you hit this thing and say it rips those bolts out, or it breaks the bolts off in that diff? Now, I'm not saying that can happen. No, I'm not saying that can happen, because plenty of people are running those Rancho skid plates in the rear and never had that problem. So I'm not saying that can happen, but it's still something that made me feel uncomfortable. The fact that it bolted to the diff itself, and if you hit that, you break a bolt off or something like that, and then it's just, I don't know. I just didn't feel right with that. So I looked it up, did some research, and I found out the Rancho one. So I did some research. And found out the Metalcloak one, which already seems a little more sturdy. Maybe it's just me, because I spent my money on it. But it feels like, to me, the Metalcloak one mounts to the axle, which I want to keep it off the diff, and that's the whole purpose of the thing anyway, is to protect the diff. So I'm gonna bolt this bad boy up. Metalcloak's got their name in there, their M in there. So I'm gonna take this back there, go bolt it up, and we're gonna make this thing work. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is take down this. Now here, for those that don't know, back here on my axle, I have a camera mounted right there, and I have a 4-way camera system set up so that I can see up underneath the Jeep when I'm driving. That goes to my rearview mirror, but I don't use this anymore, so I'm gonna move it and cut it down, which is fine because I'm not using this one anymore anyway, and put it somewhere else. I'm probably gonna put it on my rack and use it as a so I can see out the back of my rack instead of having to use a rearview mirror, which I can barely see out of because I have a mid-height rack. Alright, first thing you want to do is get that centered. Centered. So get that over the axle. You know you're there because groove cut where it fits over the axle. Whoops. Here we go. Lose the nut and watch it roll down the hill. And then watch me struggle. Gotta figure out where it went. If you notice here on top of your housing, there's that bridge right there on top of your diff, and that's where that fits in. It's notched, so kind of almost can't get it wrong. And your bolts are going to go in through here. You're going to lift it up, get it close up on the diff, and put your bolts in through there, and then tighten it down. Now you want to tighten it down to 50 foot-pounds, and it's important. Do not over tighten this thing more than 50 foot-pounds, because you risk the chance of cracking or breaking something. So 50 foot-pounds is where you want to go. All right, so now I'm about to bust out this electric wrench. Here we go. Here we go. 50 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to tighten these down to 50. While I'm tightening these down, I know y'all see in the video, like right over there, one of them, I got airbags in this thing. And one thing about these airbags is, you know, when I'm home, I've helped my dad haul the tractor when he wasn't available to move it before, right? So one of the things about these airbags is, that was really the only reason that I bought these things. I got the Ram 1500 HD ones. They're the same diameter as the ones that comes in the Gladiator. Just the difference is the length. They're made of fiddle ram, which is obviously taller. The springs are taller, so these are taller. Now, I didn't buy them. I towed a camper ATV trailer with the ATVs on it, or with the lawnmowers on it, and I didn't buy it for them. Wasn't having a problem towing at all. I bought it because they helped me when I towed that tractor. But I've noticed that with these airbags on here, these airbags help with towing, no matter whether I'm towing the tractor or hauling it or towing the camper. They just help everywhere. So this was actually a good purchase. Now I have the HD ones, not the normal ones. And the thing about these airbags is, being that they help with everything, this was a money well spent. They even help with that RTT I have on the top, because if you've ever went off-road, hit trails, rock crawling, anything with a tent on the roof or a tent on your rack, you'll know that that weight up there creates a lot of body roll, especially when you're going over rocks or obstacles. But you can fully deflate these when you go on the trail, or you can take these bags and just put about 5 pounds of pressure, and it helps with the body roll on the trail. So getting these things were actually a good idea for more ways than one. So if y'all out there, I know some people like them, some people don't, but if you got anything like that and you want to make your life a little bit easier, get you a set of airbags, put them under there, and you'll notice the difference. But I still use them when I'm on the trail. I mean, when I'm towing my camper too, so they help. Now, what I'm gonna do is, because you can see right there, clearance problem. So that's why they give you these spacers. And once again, just like with putting that diff cover on, probably would have been a little bit easier if I would have jacked up the truck to give myself more space to work with. This is the same thing. All right. So that's it. That's the finished product. Skid cover on there. That's the lip that I was talking about. I'll pop up front real quick and show you on the front one what I mean, because I forgot to show you before I put this on. That's the skid plate. If you notice that where the skid plate is up under here, it's only about maybe 1/8 of an inch below that lip, and then it's about, I think this is 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch thick itself. So you're not even losing 1/2 an inch of clearance under this thing. So I'm okay with that. Like I said, it came with the spacers to get your sway bar away from the mounts, and you're good there. It looks good, it's functional for a reason, keeps the front of my diff protected, and being that it doesn't mount to the diff cover, and you can still access these bolts right here. Whenever I get to put another diff cover on here, I don't even have to take it back off. For peace of mind, that's one of the things I don't have to worry about, so I got that done. Real quick on the front diff, this is what I was talking about. This lip right here. I got rust right there from where I ran over rocks with mine and scraped it. Here's how it looks from the front. So there you go. So that's the diff cover. That's the skid plate for the rear. Hey, look, you don't have to get it. It's not a part that you absolutely necessarily 100% need, but for my peace of mind, it's what I need. It's what I wanted. It'll make me feel a lot better going over rocks and stuff like that, and it'll keep the front of my diff safe like I want it to do. And it's all about my peace of mind, right? So if you got your JT, your Gladiator, your JK, gel, or whatever you got, and for your peace of mind, if you want to do the same thing, protect that part of your diff, and it'll make you feel a lot better about when you're going off road and stuff like that, by all means, get you one. It doesn't take that long to bolt on. You can seriously bolt that thing on in like 30 minutes, get it all torqued down and everything. And if you've worked on vehicles before, or if you've never worked on vehicles before, you can still get it done in an hour. It's all bolt on. A beginner could do it, and you're good to go. So, and I hope that helps somebody maybe make a decision on whether you want to do it or not to yours. And you know, hey, y'all stay safe, have fun, don't forget to smile, and go out and change your life. That's it, y'all. Peace out.